Hello, this is Pete or Kenshin1913, and this is another Cooking with Kenshin1913. I'm going solo today, and today we're making beef stroganoff. Alright, so what do we need for beef stroganoff? We obviously need some beef. Here I got beef strips. They were beef cutlets. I just cut them up into strips. You can get strips if you want. Over here we got our onions and garlic. Also, I'd like to thank my dad for cutting this stuff up. We got two cloves of garlic and 1 large onion. You also need sour cream and beef broth, 2 cups of beef broth, 2 cans of mushrooms. You can use fresh ones if you got it, 1 tablespoon of flour, and some white wine, and finally some egg noodles. So let's get cooking. Okay, we got our pan over here. We're just going to slide our beef in. And you're going to let this cook. One ingredient I forgot to mention was butter. You're going to need a butter. 1 tablespoon of butter. Or 1 tablespoon of 1 tablespoon of butter for 1 tablespoon of flour. So as you're cooking this, what you're going to do is you're going to use some freshly ground pepper and just get it on here. And a little salt. Helps season the meat. You use a little Himalayan pink salt. And yeah, you're just going to let this cook until it gets nice and brown. Don't worry if there's extra liquid involved as the beef is cooking. That's alright. You can look at the beef here. It's cooking, but you see how you get some of the bubbles here, like water bubbles or whatever. Don't worry about that, because you just gotta let the meat cook. I don't know if you can see, there's like a little browning going on the edge of the pan from where the meat is. Don't worry about that either. You want to let that cook, get nice and crispy. Well, not crispy, but you want to let it cook out the water and whatnot. And then what we're going to do is, once the beef is done cooking, we're going to add, we're actually going to take it out to continue making the stroganoff. You can see the beef, the water's gone, and now we're just going to put it in a bowl and then continue. At this point, if you want to shut off the heat, you can do that. So at this point, you're going to lower your heat to low, and you're going to add in 1 tablespoon of butter. And you're going to let that melt. And you can see, and you're going to try and get you don't need to get the bits right now off the bottom of the pan, because you're going to get that off later. But what you want to do while that's going on, throw in your 2 cans of mushrooms. And let that get going here. The other thing you want to throw in is your onions. Not the garlic though. Don't throw in the garlic yet. Once you put the onions and the mushrooms in, you can put the heat back to high. And I'm just going to put a little salt to get this going. And what you're going to try and do now at this point is try to get that fond there. And you're going to let these cook for just a few minutes. You're going to let the onions get a little translucent. And then we'll add our garlic. The onions they're getting there. But at this point, I'm going to throw in the garlic. That's 2 cloves of garlic, or you can put more in if you want. Now you're going to just let that cook just until you can start smelling that garlic. Just until you can start smelling it. About 30 seconds or so. Shouldn't take too long. You want to let that garlic get a little infused there. So yeah, I learned this recipe from watching a guy named Chef John from Food Wishes, and I just modified it a little bit to sort of make it my own. You know, like I use different. It's a similar recipe, but I use different quantities and all that. So yeah, I'm smelling the garlic. What we're gonna do now is take a tablespoon of flour, put that in there, mix that around. Get the flour, try to get it in the onions, and what we're making is kind of like a little bit of a roux kind of thing. Get the flour, try to get it in all the onions and the mushrooms if possible. And don't worry about it if you see on the bottom of the pan over here, you see like it's starting to like, I don't know what the word would be, like stick to the bottom, because we're going to get all that off in just a minute. Now what you're going to do is use a half a cup of white wine. There you go. That'll help deglaze the pan, and the flour will help thicken this. And what you want to do with this is just let it cook a little bit. It's going to cook out some of that alcohol, which is fine, but the stuff on the sides, on the side of the pan here, you want to try and get that off, because that's all good flavor. And just mix it all around. Mix and mix and mix and mix. You want to get that flour from on the bottom, if possible. If not, you can definitely get it when you put the beef broth in, which is actually our next step. You're going to take some beef stock. I got a cup, or I got a can. It's just about 2 cups. It's about 14.5 ounces. If you can use 2 cups, go for it, because that's what the recipe has. So you're going to add the beef stock back in, and we're just going to mix that a little bit. Get everything going. Let this come up to a boil, or at least get warm, pretty warm. Everything's got to incorporate now. The sauce is going to get a little thick. At this point, you're going to want to start cooking your egg noodles. If you're going to eat on egg noodles, that's preferred with stroganoff. And you're just going to mix this around. And at this point, as it starts cooking, we're going to want to add our beef back in. And even all the lovely bits on the bottom of the pan here, or on the bottom of your plate, add that back in too. Why not? Good stuff. Now what you're just going to do is just mix this all in. And let this come up to a nice little bubble, a little simmer. And then we're going to add our final ingredient, which is sour cream. Now, the thing about the sour cream is you want to add it near the end of the recipe, because what could happen if you add it right now, you could cook it too much and it'll kind of curdle. Well, not really curdle, but it won't be as tangy as you hope, and it'll kind of break up more. So you want to just do it this way. So we'll be back in, should take about 5 minutes to get this up to a simmer. Then we'll throw in the sour cream. Now that it's at a simmer, we're going to lower the heat. And we're going to take our sour cream here, and we're going to add 1/2 cup. Now 1/2 cup It's pretty much half of this. So I'm just going to dump in about half of the sour cream. So what you want to do is just stir it around. It's going to melt a little bit. And what you don't want is it to be chunky like this. So you just got to keep stirring and stirring. And this is what's going to add the tang to the stroganoff here. And pretty much what, after this incorporates and everything, you're just going to want to let it cook for just a couple more minutes. And then you're pretty much ready to serve it on a bed of egg noodles. So I'll show you what it looks like when we're all done, after let it cook for another couple minutes. Here we are. The stroganoff is all set. This is what it should look like. A little more creamier, if possible. The sour cream broke up just a bit, but nothing too major, so just shut it off. And now we'll put it on some noodles and eat it. So here is our beef stroganoff on our egg noodles. You can just mix them in, I guess, if you want. Anyways, take some beef, some mushrooms, some onions. That's very good. Get that tanginess from the sour cream, and all the other flavors meld very well together. Very tasty. So I've been Pete, or Kenshin1913, and this has been another Cooking with Kenshin1913. As my mom would say, enjoy and happy eating. Bye-bye.